technology fit into a tropical paradise? When did computers become crime busters? And what does it take to be an Apple Country of the Year? You'll find out in this quarter's edition of Open Apple. A lot of our energy at Apple is focused on identifying our customers in business, education, and the home. But some of the most devoted Apple fans are those who've discovered Apple on their own. Hi there, I'm Linda Moore. To begin this edition of Open Apple, we're going to take you to the tropical Hawaiian island of Kauai, to a remote spot where some extraordinary people are doing some unexpected things with Macintosh.
The Hindu religion is the oldest religion in the world. There are over 650 million Hindus in the world today. There must be 200 monasteries like this one. Each one has its function. Our particular job is to bring Hindu religion into modern English, make it acceptable for the Western educated person to understand and to apply to his daily life. In order to do this, we use the best technology that we can. And the best technology that we found is the Apple computer because it's so easy to use.
In some ways, it may seem an anomaly that the oldest religion in the world is now using the newest technology, things on the frontier of human ability. But to us, it's the most natural thing that could be.
One of the main things we do at this monastery is publish this newspaper, Hinduism Today. People call this the voice of Hinduism. It's well received all around the world, and it's produced entirely on the Macintosh. It serves as a way of bringing the dispersed Hindu community around the world together.
Knowing how the forces of the universe are working at any given moment is the value of astrology. Previously, there was only a handful of people that knew how to do it and had the knowledge in their head or in their library. Now that library is right here in the computer. The masses now can understand astrology. They don't have to go to an astrologer in India to have their chart done. They can just whip it up on the screen and there it is.
Through history, monasteries have always had some kind of agricultural endeavor to maintain their self-sufficiency, and our monastery here in Hawaii has honeybees. We have 3,000 colonies, which we've developed in the course of less than a decade, which is very unusual. It usually takes several generations to do that. And the Macintosh has really been instrumental in enabling us to handle the information, the financing, to make that leap from having no agricultural endowment to having a full-blown agricultural endowment.
We're not becoming better computer experts. We're becoming better beekeepers and better monks.
In our editorial in Hinduism Today a couple of months back, we urged all the Hindus in the world to buy the Macintosh. And we created an acronym, DHARMA, which, if you spell it out, is the word Dharma. Dharma means many things in Hinduism, but it's like the eternal path. It includes good conduct and the cosmic way, if you will. So our acronym is Drive Hinduism Ahead Through Requiring Macintosh Acquisition, DHARMA, meaning that if we, as a family of Hindus, can network ourselves a little better through a common medium, the Macintosh, then Dharma itself will be promoted. Goodness in the world will be promoted. We're creating enlightenment tools to enlighten the world. So if you say that you empower the individual, which you do, we say, what greater empowerment than to take that tool and help enlighten the world?
Changing the world means more than making great personal computer products. For a number of people at Apple, it means taking on that mission one person at a time. Now, in this edition of Open Apple, we're going to spotlight those employees who volunteer their time and skills to those with special needs. And first, we'd like you to meet Therese Nash. Therese works in marketing, but in her spare time brings to care facilities such as this one near Cupertino a lot of warmth and cheer wrapped in fur.
The purpose of Furry Friends is pet-facilitated therapy, where you bring animals to different hospitals, children's hospitals, convalescent homes, head trauma centers, and what it does is it brings warm feelings to these individuals who feel a little bit isolated and frightened by being in a particular hospital or having gone through a very traumatic surgery, and helps them to get a feeling of somebody cares about them. With Furry Friends, we're getting more volunteers. We have some Apple employees who have said it helps them to brighten up their day, feeling like they're making a difference in someone's life. Not only do the animals enjoy it, but the people that we're visiting and the people that are doing the visiting. So everyone seems to win.
He's a golden retriever? He just turned 2 years
We always
old.
think there are 24 hours in a day, but we always seem to find an extra hour to do these kinds of volunteer programs. And I think it's just the philosophy of the Apple people. They're willing to take that time and invest it in something that's worthwhile.
The government marketplace represents an enormous opportunity for Apple, and not just in Washington, D.C., but at state and local levels as well. Our next segment dramatizes how Macintosh, with a new software package, is enhancing community law enforcement efforts around the country.
It was a night like any other night. Of the 1,000 stories being told in the naked city, only a few would cross my path. My name is Archer. I'm a cop. And I was working late one night on a tough case. We called him Mr. Big. We knew he had operations all over the world and was based right here in the valley, but Mr. Big himself, he was a mystery. You see, we didn't have a good description of him. We knew he led the operations himself. We just needed a witness. Finally, it happened. I got a call from a witness who saw Mr. Big in action. I told her to come in right away. This was my chance to bring out the big guns. I could test out a new program called CompuSketch. It lets a plain old cop like me create a composite drawing in no time. We got down to work. I fed her description into the system and let the Macintosh do the rest. At first, it wasn't quite right, but it was no problem for this baby. It has a database of 14,000 noses, several dozen hairstyles, the works. And I could easily position features until it was just right. This was it. We finally had a good composite. I've been trying to nab this guy for weeks, and this was the break I've been waiting for. But I had a feeling we wouldn't be able to stop this one.
Although that was dramatized, it is based on the real use of a Macintosh. With CompuSketch software, police departments across the country are turning to Macintosh to quickly create composite sketches. Now, this next volunteer we'd like you to meet is Joe Shelton, International Software Market Development Manager. Now, despite his busy schedule, he still finds time to play Pictionary with some of his friends here at Stanford Children's Hospital.
Okay, go ahead. The essence of Pictionary is two things. One is to give the children an opportunity to play a game and have fun, which is why we're here. And the other one is to give the children a chance to exercise communication skills and to communicate those through drawing.
A duck, a frog,
I think that the children that I've seen here have something special. It's something different than normal children. Some of them have been incredibly ill. They've gone through chemotherapy and gone through the both mental and physical wreck that causes to you, and yet they come out of it and they seem to sail right on through life. Once you start looking at these kids, you realize that Apple isn't life and death, and that in fact life and death is what's going on here.
I get this one.
Children's Hospital just seemed to be the place that fit what I wanted to do. I love children and I love working with children, but it's the occasional child that reaches out and touches you emotionally that really brings me back sort of week after week.
That just about does it for this edition of Open Apple, but before we leave, let us take a trip to Apple's 1987 Country of the Year, a prime example of how Apple can do business distinctively all around the world. From Vancouver to Nova Scotia, from the Yukon to Saskatchewan, here is Apple Canada.
Good afternoon, Apple Canada.
Often some Americans view us as people from the Great White North, and we talk about Eskimos and things like that. But we're regular business people like most Americans, although our culture here tends to be one which is a little more conservative. The entire population in Canada is 26 million. Our borders go from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific. We've got 7 time zones that we span, so we've got transportation problems and communications problems, which the U.S. does.
On the eastern side of Canada, of course, there's Quebec, which is totally French-speaking, has a French law, French style of doing business, French buying patterns, a very different motive to buy, say, than the people on the West Coast. So we have a very, very diverse set of markets that we have to address. Very often we will do a different promotion in Quebec because a lot of the things we do don't translate that well into French anyway.
On est les meilleurs.
I feel that Apple Canada Finance is distinctive in that we make a concerted effort to be a partner in the management of the business in Canada, so that we work together as a concerted team to conquer the Canadian marketplace.
We've taken the Apple values and embodied them in a symbolic representation in a manner in which we can award specific people within the organization. It's a real point of recognition for an individual to receive an Apple Value Award.
I look at it in 1988, my goal is, it's something that we Canadians always like to do. We'd like to do something that's never been done before. We want to win Country of the Year 2nd year in a row.
Hi, Jenny. Sit down, please.
What are you doing, opening a branch office?
No, saving my job. They moved this meeting up to tomorrow morning.
Don't you guys have computers?
Sure, so what?
Oh, I wouldn't even think of doing stuff like this without mine.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, really nice, Steve.
I'm sorry. Look, Jenny, if you can find me a computer that can do this, or this, or this, I will buy you this entire restaurant and everything in it.
Oh, waiter.
Apple Computer is one of the fastest-growing Fortune 200 companies, finishing 1987 with more than $2.5 billion in revenue and beginning 1988 with its first billion-dollar quarter. Fast growth in an industry of rapid change, where access to current information is vital. To keep up, Apple is developing a management information system to link its 16 data centers worldwide with the Macintosh personal computers on every desktop in the company, a model for a new era of flexible, accessible information systems.
The big focus we have at Apple is to be able to take advantage of our own technology, because if we can't use it effectively, how can we expect anyone else to? It turns out that the kinds of problems that we have as a fast-growing company, where change is really built into everything that we do, gives us an ideal laboratory in order to experiment with what will work the best. And what we're finding is that the Macintosh is an incredibly powerful tool for the individual when we can effectively connect up to host mainframes or connect up to other personal computers, even if they aren't our own. I think one of the big coups for Apple Computer this past year has been attracting Alan Loren to head up our information systems and technology. Alan's approach is, let's look at the business that we're in. Let's design the database, the information that we're going to need, and let's create it in such a way that we can then map any organization structure or any business strategy that we might have upon it.
We think if we design this information technology platform the right way, that it'll serve us for a long period of time. It'll be impervious to organization change, and give us the flexibility to grow in what's a very rapidly changing business world. And we want to do that better than anybody else, and obviously with our own technology, but knowing that we'll have to interact with all the technology that's out there. But it's terribly important that we go beyond just what I would call showcasing our product. If we bring a customer in and say, let us show you our order entry system, which has Macintoshes talking in a peer-to-peer environment with another vendor's equipment, that this is real stuff.
There's a Macintosh on every desktop at Apple's Cupertino headquarters, and they're all connected, together and to other environments, by way of Apple's personal computer network, Apple Talk.
Connecting everybody together with Apple Talk is very inexpensive, under $50 per connection. We don't have to buy cards for every Mac or other expensive connections. There's a chip on every Macintosh that basically builds in the Apple Talk protocol set.
Each Macintosh is connected to the network over standard phone lines with PhoneNet connectors by Farallon Computing. The lines terminate in phone closets, where they're joined into local area networks of 10 or 20 nodes by means of patch panels. That makes reconfiguring the networks easy when people move around. Bridges are used to connect these workgroups into zones, and Ethernet cables connect the phone closets of all 32 buildings. The network extends well beyond the Cupertino office complex to every office worldwide, bringing access to corporate databases to the desktops of thousands of employees.
The information that's needed in managing a business is, what are your customers' requirements? Where are your products to fulfill those customers? And what are the trends in your marketplace? And you need that information today and now.
That information is maintained on IBM mainframes and mini computers at each regional data center and consolidated in Cupertino. It's made available through SAMS, Apple's internal sales and marketing information system. When SAMS was created 4 years ago, the Macintosh functioned as a terminal emulator, with each keystroke seen or responded to by the host. Constant communication, just as though the Macintosh were a dumb terminal. Users needed to learn a set of navigational commands and function keys. It's not the familiar interface of Macintosh. SAMS was improved with the addition of Dynacom communication software by FutureSoft Engineering, which takes advantage of the icons, pictures, radio buttons, checkboxes, scrolling windows, and dialog boxes that help make Macintosh so easy to use. But SAMS is still rather inflexible. Adding new kinds of information to the system or new ways of summarizing the figures can only be done by revising the host program. So while SAMS makes important information available, people at Apple who work on Macintoshes every day have come to expect more. Soon, a new custom system called SMART, Sales and Marketing Analysis and Reporting Tool, will replace SAMS. With SMART, the Macintosh is used as an intelligent workstation, not just a terminal, and the System 38 host acts as a very large database peripheral. Without logging onto the host, the user tells the Macintosh what information to look up, then decides how the data will be displayed, pointing and clicking to set up a spreadsheet format. the data specifications and spreadsheet formats can be saved and used over and over again. The Macintosh will log on to the host immediately or as instructed, send a request for data, receive the data, log off, and configure the report. Smart offers several advantages. The Macintosh and host software can be updated independently. Communication channels are used only briefly during the data retrieval. Users have the flexibility they need to define and format reports. Smart can even export the data to Microsoft Excel, so Excel macros can be used to do more elaborate analysis and graphing, all automatically. Making things easier for the user helps Apple's information services people too.
Typical host applications require a lot of training, require a lot of support. They don't have a lot of flexibility. They are the way they are. And if the user wants a change, he has to put in a request to make a change. It takes a long time. And what we want to do is get the same kind of environment that a person has with their Macintosh personal computer and extend that to the host.
It's great to have support for your sales and marketing people. But if you think about it, maybe the best place to have information systems is for your customers.
Apple's Customer Relations Group answers the calls and letters that come into Cupertino headquarters, 4,000 of them a week.
There's a lot of challenges in managing the Customer Relations Group. One thing is we want a consistent response. We want them to be able to answer the call quickly and get off of the phone quickly because another phone call is waiting for them.
The Customer Relations Information System, CRIS, was developed to meet the particular challenges of this work group. But it offers an exciting look at the possibilities of office automation. There are several activities connected with customer service: looking up current information, creating and printing customized form letters, keeping records of calls or letters by customer name, and maintaining call profiles for management information. CRIS uses Helix VMX database software by Odesta Corporation to put all these functions in one easy-to-use package. The front end of the application runs on Macintoshes, and the database server runs on a VAX.
It's going to allow us to be much more automated than we've ever been before, have the information much more available than we've ever had it before. And I think in the long run, the goal here is to be able to respond to customers much better than we have before.
Apple's Information Services and Technology Group is not merely concerned with the traditional role of crunching numbers and printing reports, but with a far more encompassing strategic task: to provide tools that improve the productivity of individuals. Automated access to information wherever and however it is stored, and the flexibility to interpret that information in new ways.
And we think that the technology that we ourselves produce, this great personal computing technology, used the right way and used with other technologies, because we are dealing in a multi-vendor world, will give us a highly productive workforce and a competitive edge.
The future of management information systems that are truly useful resources may well look like this: Apple's information retrieval system, AIRS.
AIRS is written in HyperCard, and then it uses Dynacom scripts in the back to, at night, access our VAX to get the HR information, our System 38 to get the sales information, and our mainframe to get some of our financial information, and store it on the Apple Share file server using HyperCard as the access mechanism.
AIRS launches Excel macros to automatically manipulate the data and create graphs and tables that are stored on the file server for immediate access. Users can also write their own macros to create custom reports. The hosts can be accessed directly for interactive sessions just by clicking on an icon. But for the most commonly needed reports, the user doesn't need to learn the host applications, interact directly with the hosts, or even know where the data is to be found. This is truly a system that lets people focus on their tasks rather than on the tools. And it's a flexible system that can grow and change easily. New features, reports, and databases can be added simply by changing or adding scripts and cards.
In this case, you'll have 2,000 of our employees able to have access to similar information. And information from a lot of databases, not just one mainframe, but databases that could be all over the world. The true power of this is bringing information into the world of the individual. so that he or she can manage and manipulate information in ways that are meaningful to them.
Apple is raising the standards for information technology. It's not just a matter of linking small computers to big computers. It's linking information to the people who must act on it. Apple is building a company-wide information system that serves as a strategic competitive resource in a rapidly changing industry. It is harnessing the power and simplicity of Macintosh as a flexible, intelligent probe that finds the precise information a decision maker requires, no matter where it resides, and then displays it with clarity and impact. The information system taking shape at Apple today is setting the pace for tomorrow.
When Andrea Barber grows up, she's going to publish a newspaper. But then that's what she's doing right now.
Kids are gonna freak when they see this. Roger.
Chris Stahl wants to pilot a jet plane. In fact, he's already flying one. And when Hakeem grows up, he's going to be a record producer. A child with an Apple II computer quickly learns there's no use putting off until tomorrow what you can do today.
Le zèbre, le zèbre. The panda, le panda. The seal, le phoque. The cat, le chat. The elephant, l'éléphant. The dog, le chien.
Hey, Bo, how you doing?
Hey, pretty good, Joey. How are you?
Good.
Hey, guys. See that game last night? Oh, man, let me tell you about that game. I was supposed to...
Finished already.
Couldn't believe it.
Hey, I thought we were supposed to be doing this in-house.
That's right. Pass the salt, would you?
Hey, your group do this?
New computer. The salt.
Oh.
I mean, just stuff.
Quintile analysis? Hey, give me a break.
Well, Siegel did that.
I thought he's in the LA office.
Yeah, so is Edwards. She did the graphics. You missed this great catch.
I heard about it. What happened? Hey, the market projections?
Garnett, Chicago. Great catch off the wall. Threw the guy out of second base.
So how'd you get everybody together in the same place?
I told you. Your computer.
What kind of a system can do that?
Welcome phone.
What?
Welcome phone.
Pardon me?
I'm very excited to be here today. 4 years ago, when Macintosh was first introduced, it would have been a bold prediction to say that Apple would ever participate in a major Unix conference. At the time, the Unix system was well established as an excellent choice for users who needed powerful and complex computer systems, and Macintosh, on the other hand, appealed to a less specialized group, those who may have been interested in the technology, but were just as likely to be mystified and intimidated by it. The Unix system and the Macintosh seem to occupy very different worlds. But today, I want to share with you a perspective that I believe is of major significance for the Unix community as well as for Apple. Something has happened over the last 4 years. As we near the 1990s, we are seeing the old divisions breaking down. Computing environments that were once separated by technology or ideology are beginning to converge. The power user and the average user are beginning to realize that they have more in common. The average computer user is beginning to crave more power and capability, and the power user is becoming aware of issues of usability. Now that we've been living with personal computers for more than a decade, we're beginning to understand their impact on people and organizations. Computers are now a permanent part of the landscape. At Apple, the application of our own technology has transformed our organization. And what you see when you visit our offices is a Macintosh on every desk. But more importantly, they are all connected to local networks that share printing, file service, and other resources, to global electronic mail systems linking all Apple offices, manufacturing sites, and distribution centers, as well as key customers, developers, and vendors, and to many computers and mainframes in 16 worldwide data centers. Now, all of us rely on Apple's technology to do our jobs, from our security guards who use Macintosh to connect into databases of company property, to finance people calculating expenditures and income, to personnel managers who access employee information from databases on a VAX. Even our design engineers use Macintosh as a front end to our Cray computer. Now, if we can't rely on our own technology, how can we expect anyone else to? But we found that a personal computer is an even more powerful tool for the individual when it can effectively connect up to a host mainframes or other personal computers, even if they aren't our own. This ability to communicate and connect is something we'll need more and more as we move towards the 21st century. The pressures of rapid change, the compression of time to make decisions, and the cost to process transactions are making it increasingly necessary to have flexible and accessible tools for managing information. Industry, government, and education all face the challenge of remaining competitive in this fast-moving world. And in order to succeed in this environment, our businesses and education systems must be designed to foster innovation. Yet innovation doesn't come through bureaucracy and hierarchy. It comes from individuals. And we believe, therefore, that empowering individuals will be the key to successful organizations in the future. Now, our goal has always been to create products that empower individuals to do their best work by letting them manage and control the information they require to do their jobs. That means that as computing technology becomes more pervasive and more powerful, computers must become more accessible to the people who rely on them. As this conference attests, the Unix system is in a stronger position than ever before. It is an established standard that many vendors support, and it provides capabilities today that other systems are only just beginning to deliver. For multitasking, for writing large applications that take advantage of virtual memory, and for combining resources from different vendors into powerful networks, the Unix system has been put to good use by networks in universities, in government, and engineering research. But we believe that the single biggest step towards broadening the potential of the Unix system is to make it more usable. And we believe that our experience in personal computing can help. We've learned there are a lot of professionals who need the performance and functionality of powerful workstations, but are still intimidated by them. For them, the Unix system may seem like a power tool with handles too big to grasp, a great automobile with an incomprehensible dashboard. But it isn't just a concern of those who are technically naive. Even engineers and users who are not intimidated by the Unix system are discovering that an intuitive and interactive interface enhances their work. I believe there is a simple reason for that. The more demanding our tasks become, the more we need to focus on the work rather than on managing and deciphering our systems. A personal computer is more than a combination of hardware and software. It's a personal computer, not simply a calculating machine or a transaction processor or a data retrieval system, but a tool designed to engage and empower the individual. The value of a great tool is not in the tool itself. It's what we can accomplish with the tool. Now, I'd like to give you a glimpse of how we've used that principle in designing Macintosh and let you hear from some of the people who are working on future generations of the technology. Pencils are such simple tools, we take them for granted. Yet they permit us to do things that their makers could never have foreseen. The simplicity and usefulness of the pencil makes it about the nearest thing to an ideal tool that we know.
The ideal tool would be one that was invisible, where the person feels they're working on the task, not using the tool. There shouldn't be something in between you and the task. There shouldn't be a tool that gets in your way. There should be the task.
To keep the tool out of the way of the task, Macintosh uses a see-and-point approach. Apple's now familiar desktop metaphor allows you to work in ways that are far more natural than the structured pathways demanded by earlier systems. It uses icons, files, folders, and pictures to represent documents, applications, and the tools used with them. And it lends itself well to direct object manipulation. It's an illusion, of course, but it behaves realistically, so that our intentions, whatever they may be, are easily translated into actions. The foundation of this approach was set at Xerox's Palo Alto Research Center.
A lot of the ideas that we see today in graphical user interfaces originated at Xerox PARC. What happened was there was an opportunity for people there to bring together technologies that were just emerging from research.
There are lots of people that worked on this, and a considerable number of them came from PARC and joined Apple. And they joined Apple because Apple had taken over and, if anything, was even more enthusiastic about these ideas than Xerox had been.
Once you learn how to use a pencil, you can transfer that skill to other tools, tools that are specifically designed to work like pencils. The principles are the same. This consistency is what allows you to build on experience, to transfer skills from one tool to the next.
Consistency turns out to be more important than almost anything else. If it's the same set of commands I use to type, to erase, to modify, to change, to draw, for all programs, then I'm far ahead. I only have to learn it once.
The basic techniques that the user develops on the Macintosh are applicable to every program the user picks up. It's called leveraged learning. It means that once you've learned something, you can use that to learn the next thing on the next program and so forth. It's consistency. It's the most vital part of any human interface.
To help developers write consistent applications, Apple has formulated and published a set of human interface design guidelines, not strict rules that inhibit innovation, but principles that apply the discoveries of cognitive science to the design of interactive systems. Standard interface features like windows and menus are built into the Macintosh toolbox to be called on by any program. Apple provides technical assistance to developers to help assure the consistency that Macintosh users have come to expect, and development tools like Mac App that contain ready-to-use software code that provides the basic object-oriented interface structure for new applications.
Sort of like having, 4 of Apple's best engineers on your design team.
Macintosh users look forward to learning new applications that build on our standard principles of interface design. Direct manipulation. To give you a sense that you are in charge, you act directly and see the results. See and point. Relying on recognition rather than recall. Why should you have to remember the things that the computer already knows? What you see is what you get. A faithful screen representation of the printed document. No abstract print commands to create it, and no surprises when you print it. Consistency across applications, enabling you to apply what you know about one application to another, reducing learning time and increasing productivity. Transparency, the sense that you are working on the task directly, not manipulating cumbersome tools. Real-world metaphors, allowing you to apply what you already know to the computer environment.
When we did the Macintosh, it seemed strange to the public that we had put so much attention into the user interface and the bitmap and the mouse. What we were doing, though, was anticipating what people were going to be needing later in the decade to support the types of graphical applications and desktop publishing kinds of things that we could see coming.
The benefits of this approach are now well established. We've learned that when you make a tool that's both useful and usable, then people actually use it. And we've learned that when the basic principles and style of an interface are established and stable, then developers can concentrate their efforts on meaningful innovation. They can push forward into new territory, knowing that their applications retain enough familiar appeal to be easily adopted by a wide audience.
Now, after 4 years of Macintosh, we've seen a double springboard effect. First, the Macintosh has unleashed tremendous creativity on the part of developers. The consistency and stability of the interface allows developers to spend more time designing innovative applications, not redesigning the interface. And second, new applications are creating another wave of creativity and productivity at the user level. Again, because of the consistency in applications, users don't have to spend a lot of time training in order to be productive. There now exists a large and growing community of designers, programmers, and customers who are fluent with the conventions of Macintosh and work with it easily and successfully. But the momentum we're seeing today was a long time in coming. As Alan Kay and Larry Tesler pointed out in the video, many of the technologies present in the Macintosh existed even before Apple was founded as a company. In fact, many of them also predate Xerox PARC. They had their beginnings in university laboratories and the ARPANET. If you look back to the early 60s at Ivan Sutherland's Sketchpad, you can see the roots of our conventions for drawing on screens. But it was 20 years from Sketchpad to Macintosh. And if you look back to the mid-60s at Doug Engelbart's NLS, or online system, you can find the origin of the mouse. But it was 15 years from NLS to Macintosh. And if you look back to the early 70s at what Alan Kay, Adele Goldberg, Dan Ingalls, and others accomplished in developing Smalltalk, you can find early versions of Windows, menus, and bitmap graphics. And yet it was more than 10 years from Smalltalk to Macintosh. And if you examine these early research projects carefully, you'll find many attractive features and capabilities that are still waiting to be developed. Now, there seems to be an incubation period that averages about 15 years before advanced research can mature into commercial technology and find its way into the marketplace. It seems to take that long, whether the engineering is difficult or relatively simple. The things that we know we want, like great flat panel displays, take a long time to develop. And things which are relatively quick to engineer, like the mouse, take a long time before we recognize that we want them. Well, if that 15-year time span continues to hold true, we can look into advanced technology laboratories today for a glimpse of the kind of computer products we'll be seeing early in the 21st century. I wrote a book last year called Odyssey, in which I described what I thought the personal computer might resemble at the turn of the century. And I called this personal computer the Knowledge Navigator. And here are some of the technologies that are crucial to the Knowledge Navigator vision. First is advanced communications. Today we're constrained by narrow information channels, and the protocols and standards for transferring data between systems is fragmented. We need technology that will link processors and databases anywhere in the world, and that means better vehicles and broader information pathways. The second is graphic simulations. As our computers gain more processing power, we'll rely more on graphic simulations to give us vivid representations of abstract relationships. And as the technology advances, real-time 3D color animation will become commonplace, allowing scientists to visualize complex numerical models with the same ease with which we now graph a column on a spreadsheet. Third is object-oriented distributed databases. Improved database technology is the key to creating intuitive and responsive information systems. One approach that shows great promise in the early research involves mapping and storing information into object-oriented structures. Fourth is hypermedia. Computer visionary Ted Nelson has been promoting the concept of hypermedia for almost 3 decades. But only recently have commercial implementations appeared on the market, with Apple's HyperCard, Owl's Guide, and others. In broad terms, hypermedia is the delivery of information in forms that correspond to the natural patterns of human thought. See, it allows you to make instant choices about where you want to go next. It will give us a much more intuitive way of navigating through enormous collections of information, combining text, graphics, sound, and motion. And fifth, artificial intelligence. This technology is critical to our future vision of personal computing. Artificial intelligence will allow us to create agents that can recognize and anticipate our strategies and preferences and increase our productivity. Well, to understand how these technologies can work together, it helps to see them in action. So I began to wonder, could we simulate the experience of what it will be like to use the Knowledge Navigator?
You have 3 messages. Your graduate research team in Guatemala, just checking in. Robert Jordan, a second semester junior, requesting a second extension on his term paper. And your mother reminding you about your father.
Surprise birthday party next Sunday.
Today you have a faculty lunch at 12 o'clock. You need to take Kathy to the airport by 2. You have a lecture at 4:15 on deforestation in the Amazon rainforest.
Right. Let me see the lecture notes from last semester. No, that's not enough. I need to review more recent literature. Pull up all the new articles I haven't read yet.
Journal articles only?
Fine.
Your friend Jill Gilbert has published an article about deforestation in the Amazon and its effects on rainfall in the sub-Sahara. It also covers drought's effect on food production in Africa and increasing imports of food.
Contact Jill.
I'm sorry, she's not available right now. I left a message that you had called.
Okay. Let's see. There's an article about 5 years ago, Dr. Flemson or something. He really disagreed with the direction of Jill's research.
John Fleming of Uppsala University. He published in the Journal of Earth Science of July 20 of 2006.
Yes, that's it. He was challenging Jill's projection of the amount of carbon dioxide being released to the atmosphere through deforestation. I'd like to recheck his figures.
Here is the rate of deforestation he predicted.
And what happened? He was really off. Give me the University Research Network. Show only universities with geography nodes. Show Brazil. Copy the last 30 years at this location at 1 month intervals.
Excuse me, Jill Gilbert is calling back.
Great. Put her through.
Hi, Mike. What's up?
Jill, thanks for getting back to me. Well, I guess that new grant of yours hasn't dampened your literary abilities. Rumor has it that you've just put out the definitive article on deforestation.
Aha. Is this one of your typical last-minute panics for lecture material?
No. That's not until,
4:15.
Well, it's about the effects that reducing the size of the Amazon rainforest can have outside of Brazil. I was wondering, it's not really necessary, but...
Yes?
It would be great if you were available to make a few comments. Nothing formal. After my talk, you would come up on the big screen, discuss your article, and then answer some questions from the class.
And bail you out again? Well, I think I could squeeze that in. You know, I have a simulation that shows the spread of the Sahara over the last 20 years. Here, let me show you.
Nice. Very nice. I've got some maps of the Amazon area during the same time. Let's put these together.
Great. I'd like to have a copy of that for myself.
What happens if we bring down the logging rate to 100,000 acres per year? Interesting. I can definitely use this. Thanks for your time, Jill. I really appreciate it.
No problem. But next time I'm in Berkeley, you're buying the dinner.
Dinner, right.
See ya. 4:15.
Bye-bye.
While you were busy, your mother called again to remind you to pick up the birthday cake.
Fine. Print this article before I go.
Now printing.
Okay, I'm going to lunch now. If Kathy calls, tell her I'll be there at 2 o'clock. Also, find out if I can set up a meeting tomorrow morning with, Tom Lee.
Enjoy your lunch. Hello, Professor Bradford is away at the moment. Would you like to leave a message?
Michael, this is your mother. I know that you're there. I'm just calling to remind you to call your sister and pick up.
Now, we think the combination of Apple's intuitive and accessible interface and the power of the Unix system can be revolutionary. This is our first release of AUX, but as we continue to expand our Macintosh technology, we will expand the potential for AUX with tools like HyperCard for AUX and other applications and data management solutions. We want the Unix system to remain an open standard platform on top of which we and others can add distinctive innovation. This is only the beginning of what the market can expect from Apple with the Unix system. We're off to a good start, and we're anxious to see others use our new tools. The power of the computer is not simply with the silicon. It lies in the ability to weave a new fabric of connections between people and knowledge. That's why people who have begun to experience what personal computers can do even on a limited standalone basis, yearn to extend that experience to encompass even greater capabilities. That's why Apple's customers have urged us to provide greater pathways to connect into alternative computing environments. The computer is a simulation engine capable of encompassing all the categories of tools previously created by man. It has the power to extend the reach of individuals by providing information and allowing them to apply their own insights to it. We at Apple are dedicated to the continuing refinement of our technology in human interface, networking, communications, and sophisticated applications. And we will rely on standards that allow opportunities for innovation. The Unix system is such a standard. Until today, the contributions of the Unix community and those of the Macintosh community have developed in isolation from each other. Working separately, each of us has been able to define and consolidate our own strengths. Working separately, we've each made an impact on the course of computing technology in the information age. Well, now, we need to look to each other to enhance that technology, to realize the potential we have as individuals and as organizations to extend the usability of the technology. We've each been a part of crafting for the information age. And now we have the opportunity together to craft the future. Thank you very much.